Tonight on Next Caller, we got legal heat in the building. Lionel Legal's breaking down what really went down with the Diddy verdict. So buckle up. This ain't just headlines, it's real law. Lionel, you're our next caller. Talk to me.
If you think the Diddy case is over, you are beyond mistaken. Because as we continue with the postmortems, it tells us a lot about our system and how ultimately Diddy might have the final case, the final two charges overturned on appeal.
Should the federal government have even brought this case to trial?
Now, as a former prosecutor, as a current licensed trial lawyer who spent years inside the system, watching overzealous cases get built on headlines instead of hard evidence, I can say without hesitation, the federal case against Sean Diddy Combs should never have made it to trial in federal court. State court cases would have handled this perfectly. It was bloated, political, and theatrically overcharged. Not that he's a good guy. Not that what he did was not criminal. But federal? No. It was the same thing if you'd brought him in traffic court.
What does the jury's partial acquittal actually say about the case?
And the jury's partial acquittal, 75-80%, rejecting the most serious allegations of sex trafficking and racketeering, confirms exactly what any seasoned trial lawyer could see from day one. This was a story, not a case. Now let's be clear. The government threw everything at Diddy, using RICO, sex trafficking statutes that were designed to target cartel bosses and organized crime, not entertainment figures in complex, weird personal relationships, not some oversexed freak. By the way, that's not against the law in state or federal court.
How did the prosecution's use of emotional language like freak off affect the trial?
From the outset, from the beginning, the prosecution leaned into emotion over substance. The term freak off was weaponized repeatedly, used endlessly in filings and press leaks designed to scandalize the jury before a single witness spoke. And yet, when cameras weren't rolling and the actual evidence came in, even alternate jurors like George, a man with, this is the alternate jury everybody's talking about now, George, a man with no ties to the industry, no prior admiration for Combs.
What did that ultimate juror say about the so-called freak-off videos?
He said what needed to be said. He said, I don't think it was forced. That's not defense spin. That's a juror describing the very footage the public never saw. Because that's the case.
What does this case reveal about how the government builds its narrative in high-profile trials?
These women didn't call the police. They kept coming back. Look, I'm sorry. You could talk about trauma bonding or Stockholm syndrome, whatever you want. The law doesn't disprove or add to the lack of evidence something that you write in because you know about the intricacies of human emotion. George described the infamous freak-off videos as pretty tame, involving a lot of rubbing oil and stuff. These were his words. But nothing graphic or criminal. That's a far cry, don't you think, from the headlines screaming about sex cults and trafficking rings? What does that tell us? That the prosecution strategy was to frame Diddy as a monster and hope the jury would maybe fill in the gaps. But jurors don't fill in blanks. They respond to evidence, thank God. And when presented with private text messages and recordings and timelines, the image of coercion disappeared and collapsed completely.